I'm Katie Ireland and I'm the CEO of Enliven. I joined Enliven back in February after almost 20 years in the corporate world in various analytics and marketing roles. Most recently, I was the Senior Director of Marketing Science at Nike. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit about what has arguably been the biggest career shift I have had, leaving the relative security of the startup space, of the corporate space, to join the startup world. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to define your market or how to find the perfect customer group. I'm sure there are plenty of people that can do that better than me. What I'm going to talk about is how we can focus on ourselves to navigate through and find the best version of success. So let's get real. Being a startup CEO is really hard, really hard. Part of the reason I've got the notes on stage here is this is my third time on stage, and just in case I forget what I'm saying, I want to back up. That is the reality. I am not perfect. I am absolutely a work in progress, but I am hoping that there is a nugget in this that strikes a chord that you find useful. I also need to recognize that I am white, I am cisgender, I am neurotypical, and I do not have a disability. And therefore, the challenges that I talk about are pretty privileged challenges. So I'll put that out there to start. So I'm going to kick us off with the first tip, if you will. Oh, you're getting a sneak preview now. You've seen them all. So the first one, find your why. Many of you know Simon Sinek. He talks about this a lot. This is critically important. And by this, I don't mean society's why, or your family's why, or anything else. You need to know why you're doing what you're doing. So in my case, I joined a fantastic startup, Enliven, and I can see Alex sitting there, my original founder and now CPO, and therefore the company already existed. This was not an idea that I had that I then brought into fruition. Honestly, I was sitting in a meeting one day, and any of you in the corporate world will know that in the corporate world, it's back-to-back meetings. And I admit that this was one of those meetings where I felt, I'm not sure how much value I'm adding or receiving. So I confess, I was doing a little bit of Googling of potential jobs, and I switched it up. Rather than looking for other analytics roles, I was looking into my purpose, which is to help people lead happier and healthier lives. And I came upon Enliven on LinkedIn, and it feels somewhat as if it was from the universe. So in terms of purpose, if you're thinking, well, where do I start? I feel a bit stuck, and I'm not sure what my purpose is. When I work with my coaching clients, I often check out an activity, Best Possible Selves, or Ikigai, if anyone has looked at those. If you haven't and you're interested, then message me after, find me on LinkedIn. Now, why is purpose so important? Well, it's important when you join a startup because as CEO or any leader, you are going to have to do a lot of things all at once, and it can be tough. So what I found was I joined Enliven because I really believed our mission, which is around delivering empathy training through the power of VR. But I was being asked to do lots of things. I have to sell. I hate selling. I don't feel like I'm a seller. I am a healer, not a hustler. But as the CEO, I have to be out there, I have to be on, I have to be doing it. I also have to be doing the finances. Now, I don't mind the finances, but at 9:30 on a Friday night when I'm looking at the system, which is in Dutch, I do speak a little Dutch, that was a particular low point. And therefore, what I found was I had to keep coming back to my why. I really believe that what we're doing is helping improve diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that matters for me. So it's good to keep that in a mindset, but also in terms of practical steps, sometimes I look at my diary and I will carve out time to do the things that give me joy. So create content for our app and our platform and connect to that side of things, because otherwise it can absolutely take you down. Next one, take the next first step. Now, I say this because I hear this a lot in coaching, which is I want to do something and I just don't know where to start. Whereas it's much easier just to take the next first step and then the next first step. Chunk those goals down. So the reason I'm here talking to you today is because I went to a meeting about becoming a gym instructor in an old leisure centre back in the UK. I went there because I had been in the corporate world for quite a while and I was feeling like I wanted to do more, but I didn't know what. I was an avid gym goer and I was spending a lot of money on personal training and thought, I can probably do this myself. I went to the meeting and then thought, oh yes, I'll train to be a personal trainer. And then saw what it took and thought, oh, I haven't got time with that alongside the job. So then I started gym instructor, less time. I later went on to do the personal training, which taught me that I can study and do things at the weekend alongside a big corporate job. That then gave me the confidence to sign up for a master's, which I did in positive psychology and coaching psychology, which then led to me doing coaching on the side. Now, all of this was moving me slowly but surely towards something I wanted. I was not ready a few years ago to make this step. In some ways, I am still not ready to make this step. And I deliberated again and again. I went back and forth. Can I make this move? No, I can't do it. Yes, I can. I can't do it. So practically, I sat down with my husband and looked at the financials. I'm the main earner in the household, so I needed to take that into account. There is a reality there. How can we make it work? Then, what would it mean? You know, there's a pride in my corporate career, giving all of that up. There's a link to identity. That needs to be taken into account. But I just went to the first interview, really enjoyed it, went to the next interview. Okay, this is getting exciting, and I didn't commit myself until the last minute. And then I went forward. One of the things I like to think about is a sailing analogy that I heard on a podcast from an Olympic sailor once who mentioned that unlike many sports, when you're in the boat, you don't have data to tell you whether it's the right decision. So once you make that decision, it has to be the right decision. And that's really how I try to give myself confidence. Is once I've made a decision, just say, okay, this is now the right decision. What is the next right decision from here? Because is there such a thing as a right decision, and how could we possibly ever know? The one thing I will share, though, is that in hindsight, knowing what I know now, I would have gone part-time in my corporate job. I told myself I couldn't do it. I would end up doing 5 days work in 4 days, and I was already working a lot. I now know, moving to the startup world, I'm capable of much more. And what I realise is that I absolutely could have done it in the corporate world. I just didn't believe in myself to do it. And so if anyone is sitting there who's in the corporate world and telling yourself that, just play with it. Take the next first step. Maybe have the conversation. Is part-time a possibility? Because often we tell ourselves it isn't, but maybe it is. And now on to the next one. I would say this is the most important one, because being a CEO can be lonely. I am used to working in big teams where I have lots of communities around me, fellow leaders going through the same challenges, big teams. I came in, we're a much smaller team, and also one of the first things I thought was, where are all the women? I've spent my career in STEM, so I'm used to being one of a few women in the room, but very quickly I was the only woman in the room. And I thought, I don't necessarily want to do this in the way that's being presented to me with certain norms about how we sell and how we network. I want to do it in my way. I want to bring a bit more feminine energy into the room. So the first thing I said was help. Because normally I delegate, I have great teams. This time I needed to reach out to my network. So I said, I really want a female mentor who I can see in the audience. Lovely to see you, Dagmar. And I have a series of mentors who work on different things. So that's from the business side. But I also really take care of myself. I have a somatic therapist that I see. I have acupuncture. I work out. I'm a big believer in the workplace athlete. We cannot expect ourselves to keep working and working and working. Founders' fatigue is real. I feel it. I'm 4 months in. I'm also in my 40s. So if you're considering a move, I would also suggest, if you are still in your 20s, do it then when you've got the energy. I wish I had the knowledge I've got now, but the energy I had in my 20s. But look after yourself, because that is important, and I always prioritise rest as well as doing the role alongside. This one is the hardest one, and this one is the last one that I will share, is let go. I am not very good at this. So any of you that are in the in the corporate world, you know there's structure. It's annoying, but there's structure. You know where you are with it, you know how things work. Coming into the startup world, I have to completely rethink everything that I am doing. And it came through even in the interview process and the negotiation process. I was like, oh, can I ask for that? Oh, that's going to be too difficult. No, it wasn't. It was like, okay, yeah, we'll sort that out, because I'm used to corporate systems where you need to get approval from this person, and then it needs to go there. No, that's not the case at all. Most importantly, you need to get out of your own way. So what are the things that you are telling yourself about why you can or can't do this? Only a short time in, I am still trying to shed the baggage from the corporate world. This notion of constantly trying to prove myself, performance reviews, needing to manage many, many stakeholders all at once. And now it's about letting go. My husband often reminds me, Katie, you're the CEO. I'm like, oh yeah, I can make that decision. And that feels very, very new to me. So with that in mind, things that I'd like to focus on is really that I can define the culture. So the things that I like to do are incorporate more play. And if anyone's interested in play in the workplace, I'm actually doing another talk in the European Women of Technology in a couple of weeks to see how you can bring more play into the workplace, because we're wired for that. And whether in the corporate world or the startup world, it's hard work. So we need more play, more joy, more curiosity, more connection. So that's one of the things that I try and do. The other thing that I found really useful from a training course years ago was this notion of yes, if. So throughout this journey, before I joined and even after I've joined, I hear myself say, no, because. Can't do that. No, because. A no, because is just a yes, if. So if you hear the barrier, you turn it around and say, okay, it's no because of that. So if that's true, then maybe it's a yes, if. Do I do this all the time? No, I keep looking at Alex there because he's seen the very serious side. There has not been a great deal of play yet. So it's something that we're keen to bring in more. But it's that yes, if, what could be possible. So we've been through them all now. Find your why. What is it that you would do if anything was possible? Take the next first step. Take that interview, have that call, have that conversation, do whatever is needed. Find your tribe. Find the people that support you, that challenge, that uplift you, that plug the gaps where you need support. And lastly, let go. What's the worst that could happen? And just play with that. So I would encourage you all to think about the fact that you are already capable. If you're considering make the move, try and make the move. Only you know if it's right. And I really hope that this talk has helped give you some considerations and maybe given you a little more courage to put yourself out there and maybe try something new. Thank you very much.